Alright, what's up guys? Welcome to the OK Car Mods YouTube channel. This is the first video in a new project series. I am Hemi swapping my 3 Series BMW. This first video we're going to be mounting it up with the engine and transmission. If you guys are as excited about this project as I am, go ahead and subscribe, like the video, comment down below. I'd sure appreciate it. Let's get to the video. I will add a couple details real quick about the project. It's 2006 BMW 330. Got it with no engine or transmission, just as a roller. And the engine is a Gen 4 5.7 Hemi from a 2013 Jeep Grand Cherokee. And behind it we have a TR 6060 6-speed from a Dodge Challenger. Alright, roll the video. Alright, so I've got it opened up a little bit here. Just testing it here. It's the first time I've even started wrenching on this car. I've had it for several months now, but I haven't even put a wrench on it yet. So the goal is going to be to utilize these stock BMW mounts. Maybe put some new ones in, but stock style anyways. This black brace right here might need to be moved or not, or cut out, whatever. But at this point I'm just going to go ahead and lower the engine in and just kind of see what it looks like, see how it fits. Okay, pretty decently stashed in here right now. Fits pretty good. I think there would be okay header clearance. I still need to go back a little bit further. As you can see, the bell housing, there's still quite a bit of space between the bell housing and the firewall there, but this stuff over here in the corner is holding that up, so that's gonna have to go. For here, it's the steering column. It's a decent bit of header clearance still. And that'll obviously be interesting to see how that pans out, but overall it does fit, so I think what I'll do now is pull it back out, just get rid of that stuff, and then push it back in and see what it looks like. The front of the wheel pan is just high enough so that I can still move the engine, but it's basically as far low as it can go as well. Yeah. Still a decent little gap there, but the bell housing is pretty big on this TR6060, so I think that'll be fine. Let's see how low the oil pan hangs now. It's pretty low. It's a Ram. It's not the lowest point on the car for sure. It's a Ram half-ton oil pan. I got that because it's rear sunk, so it'll work for now. It can always be changed later. So what I think I'm going to do now is pull the engine back out and put the transmission on it and see. Put the transmission back on it and see what that looks like going in there. Oh, and I'll go ahead and jack the car up too, because that'll be helpful. So see you in a minute. Transmission is temporarily fixed. The bolts were way too long, so I had to. This one's still loose. I had to get some old bolts and old nuts and spacers, whatever I could find. So let me tighten that up, and then we'll start chunking it in the engine bay. I did get the car jacked up. Car's jacked up as high as it'll go. Let's see what we can do with this. Alright, this is where we're sitting right now. Put this slack up here, tight back there. Oil pan is on the subframe. There's just not enough clearance up here to give us the space we need, so pull it back out and start take anything out that we can that's in the way, and then past that, I guess, just get the old BFH and start whacking. Okay, one thing we're going to knock out here is AC lines right here, heater core lines right here. I didn't really want to cut these out. I wanted to be able to put heat back in the car, maybe even AC one day, but they're just in like the most inconvenient possible location. So we're going to just buzz these flat with the firewall for now. And then we've got all this insulation. We're going to take all this out and then probably take a hammer to some of this. Alright, got all the heat shielding out. Got those mauled off of there. There's about half the insulation, the other half is in my eyes and up my nasal cavity. Breathed in quite a bit. I'm going to buzz these off just to make that flat. Seems like it makes sense. And then we'll try one more fit, and then we'll get the hammer if that doesn't work. Kind of figured, but we can see it. Sorry, I'm hitting you on everything. It's handling noise right now. Alright, you can see that now. Sitting right there. So let's get a hammer or a cutoff wheel. Alright, still hitting back there, which in turn You see that? I'm hitting the mic on everything. We're so close. We're like... We're like an inch. We need another inch. So, you know how it goes. You always need another inch. Let's work on it some more. Still up too high. You probably can't see anything in there. Basically, the oil pan is still needs to go back. What do you know? About another inch. It's on the sloped part now, so we're in, but we're not in. That same spot really just needs to be whacked more with a hammer. I'll save you guys having to watch me hit a firewall with a hammer, but I will report back when the engine is in. Alright, so since you guys last saw, we pulled the trim out to see where the shifter is going to line up. Here, this black brace was getting in the way, so I cut it out. That'll be easy enough to remake later. And there was a bunch of studs down the trans tunnel that I just cut off flush. So let's see if we can get it to fit in there now. Of course, when I don't record, it just falls right into place. Alright, we're not looking too bad. So we'll need a shifter that goes directly onto it instead of like the shift rod type that locates it further back. So basically, the stock Challenger one, it's like another 6 or 8 inches back probably, so we need to figure out if we can get one that goes directly into that little like turret or whatever it's called. And the other main issue we have here, it's kind of a big one, steering shaft clearance. We have basically none right now. I'm gonna see if I can just kind of lightly grind away at the valve cover. So there's just like some excess plastic there. It's like this stuff that goes up and around. Maybe if we get rid of that, we'll have just enough space. Also need to measure distances and stuff and make sure it's relatively centered before I start cutting anything. But so yeah, I'll update you here momentarily. Okay, so it's in there basically roughly how it needs to be. Some fine-tuning adjustments need to be made, obviously. I had to go buy some sockets to get my drive shaft off so I can measure the pinion angle and match that up with the transmission. But the steering shaft has clearance now, not a lot, but it doesn't rub. So I went and bought some stuff to start making motor mounts and transmission mount. So that's what we'll do now. So basically what I had to do was clearance out the transmission tunnel, clearance out a lot of area there, and remove that bracket down at the bottom, and now we have just enough space. So let's start making motor mounts. So we got 2 pieces of this 3/8 inch flat stock cut. It's getting somewhat dark, so my camera won't hardly pick up down here, but it's gonna go up against here like this. We're gonna weld them together, obviously, and yeah, these will be a plate that'll be the first part of our motor mount. So what I'm gonna do now, plug the welder in, chamfer this out, get a nice valley to fill in, and then mark where our holes need to be drilled. Alright, so I didn't exactly explain what was going on with the motor mount yesterday, or with this plate. This is, I believe, 3/8 steel. I could only find it at the Home Depot that I went to. I could only find it in a 2-inch wide strip, so that's why it's welded in the middle together to make this plate. Chamfered it and welded down the middle. Not too worried about any strength issues with this, just because as it is, whenever it's bolted to the engine, it's going to be held tight, which is going to increase the strength in the middle of this. So I just grinded it flat on one side so I can weld an arm or whatever off of it. For a template, I just put this piece of cardboard up against the mounting holes and hit them on the engine with a hammer. Gave me these little indentations here, and then got some holes there, so I'm going to put this on the plate that I have and center punch through these holes and then drill the holes for the bracket, or for the mount. Alright, I don't have enough hardware or obviously the right bolts, they're too long, but you get the idea. It's just a metal plate that bolt to the engine. I gotta make another one of these, so I won't make you guys watch that because you've already seen it once. Okay, here's where we're at. I've had the engine in and out probably 50 times now, realistically. As I'm sure you guys can imagine, or anyone who's done this before, you take it, put it in, realize you gotta shave here or dent here or whatever. I think we're ready to start whipping up some mounts now. I'm happy with the way the engine sits in there, the clearance, the pinion angle is good. As far as for drive shaft stuff, it's level. It fits in there pretty good. So I've got this flat stock here that I'm going to use to connect for the motor mounts and the transmission mounts. I'm just going to cut some cardboard the same size as this, and then I'll be able to kind of finagle the cardboard and then cut into this and start tacking stuff up. So see you guys along the way. Go in there, something like that. So, checked everything 1,000 times now. It's time to do a little tack weld here. Got a couple tacks in there. So, let's get the other side and then pull it out and weld it out, I guess, or yeah, probably pull this out So I got the other side done, pull it out, weld it out, put it back in with the jack under the trans. We get the trans stuff figured out. That way this will be as solid as it's gonna be. Yeah, so we'll go from there. Alright, so outside of the car, here's what we're working with. Mounts to the motor, mounts to the bottom. This is what goes to the stock BMW mount right here. The has quite a bit of like forward angle to it, which I don't like. I'm gonna probably put something right here to kind of brace it, and then probably going to build some kind of mount from these two holes right here to the front of the engine, just to give the front of the engine more support. But yeah, looking good. I'm going to weld these out and then put them back in, move on to transmission mount. One motor mount down. The welds definitely aren't pretty. Who knows if they're even strong? I barely know what I'm doing, so I'll do the other one. You guys don't have to watch. Alright. Haven't lowered it down yet. Wanted you guys to see it. They're in there. Transmission is still supported by the jack, but I'll drop it down and see if it caves to the floor or holds up. There you have it. It's sturdy. Alright, so last night knocked out the engine mounts. Engine has not fallen onto the ground, so that's good. Now we just got to knock out the transmission mount, which I started on a little bit yesterday, so I'll show you what's going on there. So on both sides here, put this angle iron on it, just in the stock mounting locations. And then you can see the mounts for the transmission right there. Basically just have to cardboard up a couple of pieces and cut some metal to match and weld it together. So let's get started. Okay, transmission mount number 1 is tacked on. Weld it out, put it back in, and then should be able to drop the jack because just this one will hold the trans up fine. So I'm going to do that. Alright, first half the transmission mount is done, as you can see. Jack's actually not doing anything anymore. So now, onto this side. R.I.P. You were one of the good ones. Alright, so we got the last mount done. Goes like this. Ignore that hole there. Ignore the hole here. Had a slight misalignment issue, and then I tried to mark the holes with blue paint, which did not work either. So, anyways, weld it up, get it on, and we'll be finished with mounting. Let her cool down and bolt it on up there. Trans mounts are complete and bolted in. This puppy is officially mounted. Alright, if you guys made it through that whole video, I definitely appreciate it. I know it was a long one, but lots of content to put in there. I tried not to put anything in there that wasn't necessary to show what I was doing. Again, thank you for watching. Please subscribe, and you will see me in the next video. Bye.